Yes, welcome back into our channel. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hello, how are you? And welcome back into our channel. This is just a community of those guys that have said that we are not getting out of this world with nothing. It is all about growth, it's all about success, it's all about learning. I always say that this channel, this is a great community that you ought to have joined by now. If you have not yet joined this community, you are doing yourself a disservice. And I'm saying that we are looking into a point where there's another 10, 15, even 5 years to come. You're going to stand in a point, and even the whole world will be wondering, how did you make it here? Simply because whatever you're working on, even the world is not ready to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Makoin, and we are just thinking, and this is all about learning. You say that every time you say that the moment you stop learning, that's the time you start falling behind because nothing stays constant. Because when you remember, for those who have gone through higher education, you know that the time that you graduated, you're told that go out there and do all that pertains to that particular degree that you have. And normally say that the moment that the formal education ends, that is when the real learning starts. And the real learning, this is the real learning you are talking about. That is when you go out there and do all that it pertains to real life. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is a beautiful evening, or wherever you are. I don't know that is evening or it is morning. You can let me know where you are watching us from, and let us see. And it was just a discussion all about learning. And there is a gentleman who are also considered to have a considerable results that can talk about. He talked about this destructive where there's a lot of distractions now. Everybody's out there yelling and trying to show kind of results that they have. And the big question is it the right way? And he talked about how do you build yourself? And he talked about building yourself quietly. That is the key. And he talked about an average man has not realized that greatness normally is built when nobody is watching. That is the time that nobody, actually, when the world is asleep, that is when the greatness is built. When you look at people that have climbed at the summit of mountains, they get that these guys were waking up as early as 4 a.m. trying to do a lot of exercise. By the time they were at the summit, some people say that they were lucky. And look at those athletes that have won that are the Olympic champions. Those guys, when the world is asleep, they're out there running, and when they're out there now, they're celebrating and they're winning gold medals, and people out there wondering, saying that they were lucky. Those guys were never lucky. Those guys were out there doing it during when everybody else is quiet. So the big principle that we're talking about here is how to build yourself quietly when nobody is watching, when there is no applause out there to show that and there's nobody else there that is clapping or applause, and that is it. And this talked about several principles that you have to observe, but I just want to summarize some of these principles as he talked about. Number one, he talked about that is to master your morning quietly. No, morning is a very important. This is the start of the day, and how you start your morning normally say that determines how your day is going to be. Are you just, there are people that jump out of bed, but they just drift along, jump into your phones, just look through the emails, scrolling through the social media. That is distraction. That is you are starting your day being drifting along with distractions. So you can either choose to drift along the distractions or start your morning purposefully. Talked about this is the time that the morning, and this said about something that I ought to talk about, because most of us are asking, is it really the somebody asked a very simple questions that they are telling us to wake up at 5 a.m. What do we do when we wake up at 5 a.m.? So therefore, when we wake up at 5 a.m., what do we do? There's we talked about mastery, and it is simple things that you do when everybody else is asleep. Wake up early, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., the earliest that you can when everybody else is asleep. Then the first thing that you need to do is to move your body. Say that move your body. Moving your body means that, because this is taking care of your body. When your mind is at an alpha, move your body, exercise, do some morning stretches, do just exercise, sweat. Take like 20 minutes, move your body, sweat. That is normally raises your dopamine, and at that point we're talking about the next thing after moving your body, sit down and reflect, meditate. At this point is where you ask yourself a lot of questions. Ask yourself, what am I grateful today? What am I grateful yesterday? What do I expect my day to look like today? And that is when you do your journaling. As you reflect, you journal it down, you write it down. What are the challenges that I'm facing? What are my goals today? You plan your day at that particular point. They take like 10, 20 minutes, reflect, meditate, and that is when you refresh your mind, because you are protecting your mind. It's a mental practice that is very important, the protection of your mind. After you have mental, the next part is growth. Grow. Take another 20, 30, 40 minutes, the ones that you can. That is why you now go for personal development. You grow. That is when the learning now starts. You now get a book, read, listen to an audio, listen to a podcast. Any field of interest that you think that you can do, go listen to something, read something. That is the time that you develop a skill. 40 minutes every day, that is a huge amount of time in a year. And when you do that, each and every, I'm talking about these things that you might think about that they're simple. They're never simple. And somebody's saying these things are very simple. And yeah, but do you know what? What is so simple is also very difficult to do. What is simple is not easy. And when you do it daily, you are looking at you need to be very intentional and deliberate in waking up early, practicing some of these things. And what is important is consistency. Be consistent enough. When you are going to exercise, let it be daily. It is something that you do daily. The next thing that he talked about as number 2, that is also quite important in how do you build yourself confidently and quietly when nobody is watching? Another thing that he talked about is read and learn daily. Read and learn daily. These ones I've mentioned several times, that the moment you stop learning or the moment you stop developing your mind, that is the time you start falling behind. I normally say that it's not a matter of reading a whole book in a day. This consistency is what is important here. Talk about you want to read like just 10 pages in a day. 30 minutes reading daily, even 10 minutes, as long as you're doing it daily. Those small actions that you do on a daily basis is what matters. It's not about the size or the length or whatever you do, but as long as you're doing it daily, because we're saying that reading creates knowledge. Knowledge, if nurtured well on a daily basis, grows into a skill. And skills normally are what leads into growth. And we're talking about here reading, and when you read and you're learning something, the most important part is to apply it. You read about setting goals, set one. That is what is important. You read about, talk about read, reflect, absorb, apply, then grow quietly within a very long period of time. Now, when you read talk about 30 minutes daily, and you do it daily without missing. I know there's some days that is going to be tough, but you say that you can miss one day, but when you miss the second day, don't ever miss the second time or the third time. Continue. And when you continue that for a whole year, that's a huge number of hours that you have spent in reading. Just imagine that. The next thing he talked about is protect your energy and focus in the world of distractions that we have, ladies and gentlemen. Look at everywhere. Everybody's glued to their screens. Wherever you go, everybody's watching, everybody's scrolling their phone, everybody's responding to anything and everything. And this is where I talk about protect your energy. Where do you direct your energy? Because say that life is 10% what happens to you, but it is 90% how you respond and react towards what happens. That is Look at choose what to respond to. Choose what do you want to respond to, how do you want to respond to it, and it's look around, everybody is reacting against everything, and when you choose, and this is where you getting into focus into this particular time when there's a lot of distraction, everybody is scrolling through the media, there are a lot of notification. Can you just switch off the notification and focus on something and build it? That is focus. And when you get yourself that you're focusing and building something, the focus is quite important. This one talks about focus, talk about time is valuable than money. And how do you focus? Focus means that create a priority, prioritize ruthlessly. What do you want to do? Then look into it, do it. If it is, plan it. If it is 1 hour, I'm going to read for 30 minutes. Switch off all the notifications of your phone. Go deep into your room. You can even put earphones into your ears and really go into deep focus and read for 30 minutes without distraction. The next thing he talked about is create boundaries. Create boundaries. What do you want to respond to? Boundaries are quite important in this destructive world. The next thing is also manage your environment, the environment you live in. Manage, what do you absorb into your mind? What do you allow into your mind, subconscious mind? Because it's, as we put it, that you might think that you are thinking, and you're not thinking. You're just in a mental activity that you're allowing everything into your subconscious mind, and that is what is reflecting into your results. Because the results come into this conscious mind that receives, that is connected into our daily responses, and that is the hearing. What you hear, what you receive, it goes into conscious mind, and the conscious mind is wide open. And when you allow your subconscious mind also to be wide open, it will receive all that, and that is what shows into your results. Do you want that to show into your results? That's what you're looking at. The next thing that how do you focus? Also take care of your body. Have a rest. Sleep. Go into a deep sleep and rest. It's quite important. This is what you have. Even if you're going to live for 80 years, you only have you only have one body. You're not going to change. You can change cars, you can change houses, but you can never change your body. This is what you have. Take care of it. Take care of your mind. Mental health is quite important. That is what I talk about. Guard your energy. Guard your mind with all that you have. The next thing you're looking at is also that he talked about, take small actions daily. Small actions, this is like you're looking at a story that is told about a bamboo tree, where the farmer planted a seed of a bamboo tree, and he kept watering it daily, and there was nothing that was showing. For 5 good years, nothing. And even you could imagine other people were passing by seeing this man watering this ground every day for 5 years, and people wondering, what are you doing there? And and they could call that the rumor is that you are planting a bamboo tree, and there is all that you have to do. And sometimes you are working on something and you have no results to show, and people will, this is what you can do, this is what you have been doing for the last 5 years. But do you know what? Keep going. Focus. Continue. And do you know what? The farm, on the 5th year, the seedling of a bamboo tree break through the soil. And you know what? In 5 months, it grows 15 or 18 meters tall. And now the question is, did it grow 15 or 30 meters tall within 5 months or 5 years? The 5 years was building the roots. That's what you're talking about. During those quiet moments, we are building the roots. And I thought that, and it was that when you are building something, be it wealth or knowledge or even a skill, it takes like 10 years. There is totally nothing to show. And that is when the people will speak the ground, the rules out about. They will tell you that try something else. This is not working. What are you doing? Go and try something else that can work and give you results. There's nothing. This is not showing anything. But you know, the ground code says that stay put, continue. It will show. That is what we are talking about, the ground calls. And that's when you're working on something that is, 10 years, nothing to show. And that is when I talk about an investment. Small actions daily. Invest a little money daily, be it on a stock dividends, be it on buy maybe a portion of a business, be anything that you can do, but as long as you are investing on it daily, there is compound effect that will happen. In another 10, 20 years, can be a stock dividend, can be money market funds, it can be anything that can show something. That is what we're looking at. An investment can even start a business, but daily you're doing something. One day, all of us are looking for breakthroughs or something huge that is going to happen. And you're saying that there's nothing going to, sometimes nothing happens. Even if it is reading, just read a page daily, 2, 3, 10 pages on a day. Yeah. Success is predictable when you do something on a daily basis. One day you're going to succeed on it. That is, you are building a skill. You're building, maybe you want to write a book, write 1 page daily, write even a paragraph daily. You want to be an athlete, run even 100 meters daily, 200 meters daily, a kilometer daily. That is what you're talking about. Take action daily. Exercise. It's not a must to run 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 2 hours. You can even run 10 minutes. Do a few push-ups. Do a few sit-ups, like 10, 20 daily. That is small actions normally compounds into a huge results, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so here we're looking at how do we really take small and consistent actions on a daily basis. The first thing, identify the goals that you have and break it down. Just break it down. And then when you break it down into small and plan about those particular actions, then you are going to commit daily and do something about those particular plans that are broken. Something about them daily, on a daily basis. Then the next thing, track the progress. Write down everything. Today, when you wake up, journaling, whatever you're going to do, list. Because something to work from a list. Always, that is the time-saving techniques that has worked. Because normally say that, talk about some individual was asking, how do you normally save time? And there's a response that I liked from an individual, say that time can't be managed. Time is always moving. You manage activities within time. That is, you wake up and you write the list of things that you want to do, and you do them. And by the end of the day, you look at what you did not do and you take them to another day and make sure that you do them, tick them. That when you are tracking your record, that you celebrate quietly. It's not a must to jump out there and just celebrate quietly. Always identify small achievements and then just celebrate. Celebrate them. That is quite important. Adjust and repeat. If it's not working, adjust and repeat. Adjust, repeat. Adjust, repeat. Adjust, repeat. Then here, patience is key. It will work. One day it will come true. Now, lastly, he talked about reflect and journal daily. Reflect and journal daily. That is even I've mentioned it. When you don't reflect, that means that you are not tracking your progress. And when anything that can be tracked can be managed, and achievement is key. The next thing that also surround yourself with excellence. Friends, mentors, all these people leave blueprints on your life. So surround yourself with excellence. That is key. And ladies and gentlemen, those are just a few tips that you are discussing with an individual. And I always talked about learning. You can learn from anybody. Even you have some that you can share. Share it. And what I always tell you, that the moment you stop learning, that's the time you start falling behind. Let's keep learning. And when you learn something, apply. Because knowledge leads to skills and wisdoms. Skills and wisdoms that are not applied is totally unused. Unused knowledge, skills, and wisdom does not serve any purpose. Let's move with purpose. Let's build it quietly. And I'm telling you, one day, in another 10, 5, 15 years, the world is not ready to receive whatever you are building. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep showing up. Whatever how tough it is, let's keep showing up. It is going, one day, it will give us results. Thank you and enjoy.